Welcome to today's custom-tailored deep dive. If you're joining us right now, I know a few things about your approach to learning.
You're definitely looking for the signal in the noise.
Exactly. You want multiple perspectives, you appreciate quick but thorough knowledge, and you actively avoid that feeling of information overload.
Which is so easy to get these days.
Oh, for sure. So today we are focusing on a very specific kind of modern noise that has, crept into our workflows over the last couple of years.
And we're looking at a tool designed to cut right through it.
Right, because the landscape of daily development work has just fundamentally shifted.
It really has. I mean, we've moved from writing every single line of code manually to essentially orchestrating an entire suite of AI coding assistants.
Yeah, and that rapid adoption has introduced a very unique structural headache.
A headache that most of us are really just starting to recognize.
So true. And our grounding source for this exploration today is the GitHub repository documentation for an open source project called Agentlytics, specifically located at the handle f/Agentlytics.
Right, f/Agentlytics.
And the core issue it addresses is that while AI coding assistants have significantly lowered the barrier to complex problem solving.
They've created a massive fragmentation problem.
Exactly.
Right.
We're deploying so many different models and clients that our unified workflow has basically shattered.
It's all over the place.
Yeah. So the mission of this deep dive is to examine how Agentlytics acts as the ultimate unifier for that chaos.
And setting the tone right up front, this isn't just about installing another dashboard.
No, not at all.
It's really about reclaiming visibility. In this rush to adopt AI, we've completely lost the bird's eye view of how we actually construct software.
Which is terrifying when you think about it.
Right. We need to understand our token usage, the financial costs of our compute, and the shifting dynamics of how engineering teams collaborate.
Especially when half the conversation is happening between a human and a localized AI model. Okay, let's unpack this. The fragmentation problem is something anyone touching a code base right now feels acutely.
Oh, absolutely.
So here's a quick analogy. Imagine hiring 16 brilliant consultants to build a product.
Okay, 16 consultants.
Right. But instead of putting them in a conference room, you lock each one in a separate soundproof office.
That sounds like a management nightmare.
It is. And they refuse to communicate with one another. To get anything done, you have to sprint between offices, repeating the same context over and over.
Copy-pasting what the last specialist said.
Yes, and inevitably forgetting crucial details along the way. That is the reality of our current tool chain.
It's just a highly inefficient architecture for human cognition.
Completely.
You might say, initiate a feature build in one specific editor, hit a logic wall, and then switch to a totally different command line interface.
Just to see if a different foundational model can unstuck you.
Right, and when you make that switch, you leave behind all the conversational context.
The failed attempts, the nuanced reasoning.
Everything that led you to that roadblock in the first place.
And looking at the sheer variety of tools covered in the Agentlytics source, the scope of this silo effect is wild.
16 different editors and interfaces.
16! We're talking mainstream tools like Cursor, Windsurf, Claude Code.
VS Code, Copilot, Zed, Goose, Kiro.
Yeah, anti-gravity, open code, command code, plus the command line stuff like Gemini CLI, Copilot CLI, Cursor Agent.
It's a massive list.
It really is. And the problem is every single one of those tools maintains a localized, isolated conversation history.
You can't search across them.
Nope. You don't know your aggregate token spend.
And you definitely can't compare which editor is actually the most effective for your workflow.
Which brings us to the Agentlytics promise. The documentation leads with a very clear directive.
One command, full picture, all local.
I love that phrasing.
It's very punchy. Basically, by running a single initialization command in your terminal, it spins up a unified interface directly on your machine.
Accessible at a local host address, right?
Right, specifically http://localhost:4637.
Got it.
And it actively seeks out those scattered databases and standardizes them into a single timeline.
But, capturing all that data from 16 different tools raises an immediate red flag for me.
Security.
Exactly. If a tool is aggregating every single prompt, code-based snippet, and late-night typo I send to my AI, I'm highly skeptical of where that data is going.
Naturally. Source code is proprietary intellectual property.
Right. So all local sounds great in a marketing pitch, but how does the architecture guarantee that?
Well, the security context here is vital for you to understand. Agentlytics requires Node.js.
Any specific version?
Yeah, version 20.19 or 22.12 or newer. And it uses a very lightweight Express server.
Okay.
Instead of sending your parsed history to some cloud analytics provider, it normalizes the data and writes it to a local SQLite cache.
Sitting right on my machine.
Exactly. At /agentlytics/cache.db, no proprietary code is leaking to a third-party server.
So it's essentially just a local reader. It scans the logs that these applications are already generating on your hard drive.
Parses the unstructured data.
And serves it back to you through that local port.
Precisely. It's the exact opposite of a cloud-based analytics platform.
That's a huge relief. And once that data is unified, the visual layer of the dashboard kicks in.
Translating raw logs into actual behavioral insights.
Which is awesome. The visual features are super enthusiastic in the documentation. You get activity heat maps.
To see exactly when your reliance on AI peaks.
Right. It tracks coding streaks, maps out your most productive hours, and gives you per-project analytics.
What's fascinating here is how the tool pivots from a standard productivity tracker into a financial dashboard.
The economics of AI.
Exactly. The source details dedicated costs and subscriptions modules. It doesn't just track messages. It tracks the entire token economy of your machine.
And that token economy concept is something we really need to linger on, because for you listening, this is a massive paradigm shift.
We used to measure software development in human time, developer hours.
But now coding is shifting to a compute-intensive task. Tokens are the new currency.
Even with a flat-rate monthly subscription, you're spending finite resources. Compute time, API rate limits.
Developers are basically compute allocators now.
Right. And with these actionable insights, you can estimate your AI spend broken down by model.
Like comparing Claude 3.5 Sonnet against GPT-4o.
Exactly. You can view costs by editor, by project, and even track historical trends by the month.
That is so practical. And it tracks live usage quotas too, right?
Yeah, remaining credits, rate limits.
Because I know I've personally hit that dreaded quota exceeded error right in the middle of a complex regex problem.
It completely derails your flow state.
Totally. Having a central dashboard warn you before you hit the wall is amazing, but looking at the features, the compare function really stands out.
Side-by-side editor comparison.
Yeah. Finding out efficiency ratios, are you actually getting a better ROI from Claude Code versus Copilot CLI?
It forces a different kind of critical thinking about the tools we blindly trust. We usually choose an IDE based on marketing, or just the feel of the interface.
But this gives you raw behavioral data. You can objectively see if one interface requires 3 times the prompting to get the same result.
Exactly the kind of analysis it encourages.
It turns the analytical lens back onto our own coding habits. But, everything we've talked about so far assumes a solo developer.
Right, a single-player mode.
But the source outlines a feature that scales this across a team.
This is where it tackles the multiplayer AI context problem.
Here's where it gets really interesting. It's a feature called Relay.
Yeah, Relay utilizes something called MCP, which is the Model Context Protocol.
But before we dive into how MCP works, I have to push back on the security thing again.
Go for it.
We just established that Agentlytics is great because it keeps everything in a local SQLite file. If Relay broadcasts my conversations to my teammates, haven't we just ruined the security?
It's a vital distinction. Relay is not a cloud service. It operates strictly on trusted local networks, like a corporate VPN or an office intranet. One person on the team starts a Relay server on a local machine.
Which binds to port 4638 by default, right?
Correct. And the documentation strongly recommends protecting it with a relay_password environment variable.
So it's peer-to-peer. How do teammates actually join and populate it?
It's heavily automated. When teammates connect, their git-config user.email is auto-detected.
Ah, clever.
And then they explicitly select which local projects to share. It doesn't blindly broadcast everything.
So it's opt-in per project.
Exactly. And that data syncs every 30 seconds to a separate file, /.agentlytics/relay.db.
Okay, so we have a localized, password-protected server receiving team history every 30 seconds. What is the aha moment here? Why set this up?
Because Relay exposes that MCP server. By pointing your local AI client to this shared endpoint, you grant your AI the ability to query the entire team's synchronized database.
Oh, wow. So the use case from the source, you can literally ask your AI client, what did Alice do in off.js?
And your AI queries the Relay server, parses Alice's recent interactions with her own AI, and gives you the answer.
It's reading the actual conversational context from 2 hours ago. It knows what errors she hit, the edge cases she considered.
It's not just looking at her final committed code.
That transforms single-player assistance into a complete hive mind.
A hive mind that is aware of the entire team's local coding history. It drastically reduces onboarding friction.
But building a tool that intercepts data from 16 different proprietary apps definitely has some friction of its own.
There are definitely technical challenges and open source quirks under the hood.
Yeah, let's look at the limitations. The documentation points out a highly specific quirk. It can scan, Cursor, and Claude Code even when they're shut down.
Right.
But Windsurf, Windsurf Next, and Anti-Gravity must be actively running to be scanned. Why the discrepancy?
It highlights how fractured these tools are. Cursor writes its logs to a known local file structure on your drive.
So Agentlytics just reads the sleeping files.
Exactly. But Windsurf and Anti-Gravity use Connect RPC.
Which means?
It's an active communication protocol. Agentlytics has to hook directly into the editor's language server process.
The background service providing the code intelligence.
It has to ask the running software to stream its history. If Windsurf is closed, that language server process is dead.
And Agentlytics is locked out?
Precisely. There's no known static file structure to read offline for those specific apps yet.
Which leads to a massive call to action in the repo. The creator, who goes by the handle itself, is actively asking for open source contributions.
They need someone to reverse engineer the storage format for Windsurf's trajectory data on disk.
To allow for that offline reading, it's a classic open source community effort.
Independent developers unifying the outputs of massive AI companies in real time.
So what does this all mean? We started with that chaotic image of 16 isolated consultants.
Refusing to share context.
Right. And we end with Agentlytics. It currently has 211 stars and 23 forks on GitHub, but it represents an essential privacy-first tool.
It's taming the wild west of AI coding tools.
Letting you track everything from your tokens to your team's progress.
And the direct takeaway for you listening right now is that in a world of information overload, having a unified bird's-eye view of your own tools is the ultimate shortcut to working smarter.
You can't optimize what you can't see.
Exactly.
But there is one item on the roadmap that we have to mention before we wrap up. LLM-powered insights.
Yeah, that is fascinating.
Agentlytics plans to use local LLMs to analyze your session patterns and coding habits.
Building an intelligent analysis layer on top of all this behavioral data.
Right. So I want to leave you with a provocative thought to mull over based on that.
Okay.
What happens when we turn the AI on ourselves?
That's a deep question.
We're moving past just using AI to write code. We're talking about using AI to analyze our own human coding behavior.
Essentially, having an AI manage and optimize our relationship with other AIs.
Exactly. It's the ultimate meta layer. Well, thank you so much for taking this custom deep dive with us today.
It's been a great conversation.
Keep learning, keep questioning the efficiency of your workflows, and we will catch you on the next one.